So good news for permitted development fans, because the government is standing firm and actually standing up against nimby councils trying to spoil the party. So what exactly am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Article 4s and permitted development. The government have introduced some fantastic permitted development rights to allow the easy repurposing of commercial buildings to residential use. But some nimby councils, particularly London ones, don't like this. And when they don't like it, there's a mechanism that they can bring about, which is called an Article 4. And that basically says, it's where the council says, look, you've got this permitted development, it applies everywhere, but it ain't applying in our backyard. Now, a whole bunch of London councils have applied for this, but the central government have said, no, you can't do this. No, we want the PD. So this is fantastic news for property investors. I'm joined as usual by Andrew to kind of go through and discuss what this actually means for us guys. This is exciting, isn't it? Because we were all worried about these Article 4s.
Well, it's fantastic news. I mean, we did do a story some time ago about councils that were planning to block the permitted development right, Class MA, from being implemented. Now, let's just set the scene a little bit so that people understand where we're jumping into this, Ranjan. And if we look in our calendar, last year, a new permitted development right, Class MA, was introduced to work or convert on use Class E buildings. Now, the old Class O...
Sorry, we'll bung some video links here and in the description that explains all of that a little bit more. Sorry, Andrew, go for it. Had to get that in. Also like, by the way, and subscribe. Go on,
share and
go
everything
for it.
else. Go for it. Why not? Just throw me off track.
No, Class MA, yes.
So the old Class O, as was, the permitted development right expired last year. But the Article 4 remained in place for buildings that were affected by that Class O.
Yes, that's office to residential
conversions. Now that expires on the 31st of July 2022, 3 months from now. Now, the Right Honourable Stuart Andrew, the Housing Minister, has turned round and said...
He's the one this week, is he?
Yeah, he's this week.
We've had about 40 in 10 years, but go on.
He's actually turned round and said the Article 4s that have been put before him, having gone through the almost 12-month consultation period, are against the government's policy that was introduced last year. Now, he has allowed one council to implement an Article 4 from the 1st of August against Class MA, and that is the City of London. All the other councils that have applied so far have been rejected. Now, most of those have been in London. Now, what we need to do is look at why. And in his letter to the councils, he wrote explaining exactly why. And councils had applied almost for blanket Article 4s. In fact, Royal Kensington and Chelsea had actually said, the whole of our borough is a special borough because we're smallest London district. Therefore, we need a blanket Article 4. That flies in the face of the legislation which said it must be to the smallest minimum area possible and must be justified.
So in a nutshell, what you're saying is that the Article 4s that councils got previously, they got under a different set of rules, if you like.
Correct.
But the government have now said, if you want to be a NIMBY, you've got to have extra special reasons for opting out. And that hurdle rate is far higher than it was for Article 4s that they brought in a few years ago. So that's why they're finding it tough.
That's why they're finding it tough. Now, number one, Stuart Andrew goes on further to say, or shall we say, the person who wrote the letter that he signed goes on further to say that it should be limited at most to a single street that is of importance to an area, or more specifically, down to a building level, and there must be a justification for it. Now, this is what was missing, was they were blanket and they didn't have a justification other than we're special.
Absolutely. If you look at any of these Article 4 maps, I mean, you can look up a council's website, you can see the Article 4 areas that are drawn on the map, and you'll see there's no logic to them. They just look like a pretty uniform shape. It doesn't look as though they have done any analysis that, well, this building within this area is okay to convert and this building isn't because perhaps it's significant in some way.
Absolutely. And that makes it, or takes out of the opportunity of developers the ability to convert buildings within that area easily. It means you have to go full planning permission, which means it's a bit of a lottery.
We'll get back to the video in just a moment. What is the most exciting opportunity in property right now? And that is repurposing defunct commercial buildings to residential use. Now, most people don't really know where to start, what to look for and how to exploit these opportunities. And that's why I've prepared 90 minutes of free training for you to get you started on this wonderful journey. You can register for this free training at property-workshop.com. Join me on that free training and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of the video. So this is rather interesting because Class O was the previous PD for converting offices to residential, but Class MA is far wider because it doesn't just apply to offices, but any building in usage Class E.
Absolutely.
For what I mean by that, you can see that video that I've got in the link here. But usage Class E buildings include restaurants, gyms, doctor surgeries, kids' nurseries, banks, a whole bunch of things, dentists, a whole bunch of different things. So it's far wider in scope. So what they've said is that for councils that had the old Article 4s, they naturally expire in July this year. But hey, these even more flexible PD rights that replace it, you don't stand a hope in hell, unless you're in the City of London, of getting those exemptions past national government. And this is great, isn't it?
Well, it creates massive opportunity for property developers because there is now a window of opportunity whilst councils flounder around, have to rewrite a new set of rules about the Article 4 that they would like to bring in with justifications, then consult with council, then consult with community, then write up their application and then submit to the Secretary of State. So there is a window of opportunity in certain boroughs that have had blanket Article 4s for a long time where all of a sudden properties that were off the radar come on the radar as game.
Yeah, so there are a couple of windows of opportunities, I see. It's one you're saying, and I think the point you've missed as well is that even if they reapply for an Article 4 to the government, being a bit more sensitive to geography and tightening it a little bit, even if they got it, they then have to put the local population on 1 year's notice before it comes into effect.
Absolutely.
So that window of opportunity is probably 2 years or so. At least.
It could be up to 2 years because there is the potential for this to be a game of tennis going backwards and forwards between national government and local government.
And the other window of opportunity, of course, is if you're looking at an office building which is currently subject to an Article 4, then you can look at it, keep an eye on it, and on August the 1st, 2022, you're good to go in terms of bunging in a Class MA application to convert it to residential stock.
Absolutely. And provided you can meet the criterion, which we've got a video on those criterion on this channel, you are able to convert that property. And it's a very simple checklist of things from space standards to light, to noise, pollution that you need to comply with.
So to summarise, this is terrific news. Government brings in permitted development. London councils in particular try to fight back. Central government give them a slap around the face and tell them to go away. So this is great news for savvy property entrepreneurs. If you want to find out more about this fantastic opportunity about commercial to residential conversions, I run a series of webinars on this. I'll put a link in the on the screen here and in the description below. If you want to join Andrew and me at the UK's largest property investors networking event, you can do so at the Baker Street Property Meet. Join us at our next meetup. You'll be joining myself and Andrew and 300 other property investors. And you can find out the date and details of the next meetup here. Also, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon, and you'll be kept up to date of new goings on in property. That's it for now, isn't it?
All the best, everybody, and we look forward to meeting you at the Baker Street Property Meet. You live in the USA.
I do live in the
You're over
USA.
here on business.
Yes, I am.
And you've made a special trip to come here to the Baker Street Property Meet.
The quality of people here is better than quite a lot of the other meets.
Come all the way from California, and one of the reasons why I'm here, to meet like-minded people, other investors, build my network, and continue learning and growing in the property industry.
I found it's quite informative, and I can meet a lot of amazing people, so I keep coming.
Great knowledge in a great environment with like-minded individuals.
Brilliant!